Hey guys, I'm back, and today we're gonna be making an Addon weapon tutorial. We're gonna be working on attachments here, custom attachment, and adding existing vanilla attachments into our weapons. We're gonna work with meta files today, and one thing for certain, guys, is that this is gonna be my last actually CDS Max tutorial on this channel. Further on, we're gonna be diving into Blender, and all the further tutorials are gonna be Blender related. I'm also back into streaming, so make sure to follow me on Twitch. There's gonna be awesome content to come in November. I actually have something cool in my mind. So link is gonna be in the description. Also make sure to check out our store where we have Halloween pads, where we have cyberpunk shit. Our best-selling asset is our apocalypse mapping that changes everything throughout the map if you want post-apocalypse server. We have things like that. We have cyberpunk shit as you see here. And let's dive right into the topic of the tutorial. All the links are gonna be in the description. First things first, when you have your model 3ds Max not even lined up correctly with wrong scale, it doesn't matter, just you have it in 3ds Max. The next thing you're gonna wanna do is go to this website, Rage Wiki, link is gonna be in the description, to find a template from vanilla files that you're gonna be using. So in our case, obviously not shotgun, no pistol, so obviously we go for assault rifles, and one that I find maybe more suitable is probably gonna be heavy rifles. So after you found the template, just go copying this without weapon, first part, go to OpenIV or RPF Explorer, it doesn't really matter, go to search. So this is our metadata, we're not gonna be using it for now. Then go to YDR, D stands for drawable, so it's our model obviously. Filter the info here, and we're going to be using one without HI for now. I'm going to be explaining this a bit later. Then, well, obviously it's our model. So I created a folder on my desktop called Weapon Tutorial. This is a texture from my model, this is my model itself, and this is our vanilla folder where we're going to be exporting our vanilla stuff, just like that. Also, don't forget your YTD, T stands for textures, texture dictionary. Obviously, after we have our files here, we go back to 3ds Max, launch our GIMS. I'm sure you know what GIMS is by now, but if not, link is going to be in the description, or you can just download it from my Discord server, link in the description as well. Now we go navigate to that same vanilla folder and just import our heavy rifle with textures on them, and let's continue from there. After we have our heavy rifle imported, we can go to high. This is our bone setup, and high is our model. You can see that it's so small compared to our scar, so first thing we're gonna do is basic initial model editing. So just go around your model, try and find stuff that you think is broken. So for example, I think smoothing here is kind of broken, so well, you kind of see it on the different angles. So I just select this as element. Let me go to my smoothing groups and just delete smoothing groups from here. And that looks much better now. Maybe we not necessarily had to delete it from here, right? But this surface certainly looks better. This is just as an example. So this here, I clearly see it's highly misaligned. So I'm gonna go to the scope. So I'm just gonna trying to teach you guys about not being scared of like initial editing here, right? So we have to lower that, but if we go much lower, it falls into our texture. So what we're going to do in this case, we're going to assign FFD modifier, which stands for freeform deformation, and you hit control points and you just lower it like this. Now we just do it approximately. We can always fix it later on, but that doesn't look bad actually. Maybe I want this to be moved like so now, a bit, and like so. That'll do as an example, right? So now after we're done, we just collapse too. And the next part is after we think we're done with editing basic stuff here. Oh, maybe also I see this going too far into my model. So we could FFD this as well, right? We don't need additional stuff going inwards. Like this is obviously too big here, so we can just make it go inwards, or even remove some part of the geometry. It's up to you. I just want you guys to feel comfortable about editing your model. So next thing is making sure it's the same size. We don't see shit here, so let me extend our viewer clipping. Again, guys, I'm trying to keep it as informative as possible and as simple as possible at the same time. So now you click your R button for scale. You right click in the middle, go scale, and this is our scale to world. Let's make it 1%, so we're gonna make it 100 times smaller. Enter. And actually most of the times you're gonna be close to this result. Now let's do the scaling. This is something you're always gonna be doing when working with GTA Addon weapons. So this is our collision, gray one. It's called OX1, etc, etc. You just select everything, hit this I to hide it, we don't need it. Then you select your model, hit W, Alt A, and click here. So now it is at its pivot. We can see it's not correct size, still misaligned. Very quickly we're gonna fix that. So first things first, enable your angle snap and just rotate it 90. Obviously it's 90 degrees, so already better. And I'm gonna tell you guys what to which spots you're gonna have to pay close attention here when lining things up. It's very important, trust me. So now we're gonna be just manually scaling it until we think it fits. Yep, as simple as that. So one very important thing is make sure your scopes, this line here, lines up exactly as it is on your reference, because your pet is going to be holding it in its hand, the weapon in his hand. So if your scope is off the Z coordinate here, you're simply not gonna be aiming, shooting at the thing you're aiming at. So it's extremely important to keep it at the same height here. Another thing you're gonna pay close attention is this here, because obviously it's where your pet's hands are gonna be. So I see we need to scale it on Z coordinate. So you guys see it's not always as simple and perfect. We're gonna leave it like this for now, or maybe a bit to the right. Yeah, this is way better. Just make sure this ends where the vanilla gun ends as well. And we have our, how's this thing called? Remember? So it's called, you can just grab this bone, it's called trigger, right? It's a trigger. We have our trigger matching quite well. We have our mag not matching quite well, but we're gonna fix it later on. Of course, you can still drag it, make it more precise, make it more correct, enlarge just a bit more. But for the purpose of this tutorial, this is as close as it's gonna get for us, because I want to show you guys how to fix the barrel coming here, because we have our bullets shooting from here. So we're gonna fix that in a sec. And this, we're done with our scaling. I hope I kept it simple. So it can be as dirty as this for us to perfect it later on. So let's go into further editing. Now I hate making fucking 1 hour long tutorials, but this is probably gonna be another one of them, because I really want to keep things very understandable, not doing like 10 minutes, adding everything into the game shit like some people do. Okay, next thing we're gonna do is attaching, so let me, a little explanation on the bones here. So when you select your model, so weapon rigging, weapon skinning is super fucking simple. I'm gonna explain it in a sec. So you select your model, vanilla mesh, go to skin modifier, and you see all of the bones that are actually working on this model currently. So let's select him in our viewport, go to gun main bone, and select our gun breech. Just make sure to find it under gun cock, and let's see what it moves. So it moves this here. So that thing is, this is what it does. it moves when you shoot. So remember this, gun breech. Another thing we're gonna be attaching is gun root. It's just all of the weapon. I'm gonna show you in a sec. Gun root is just what most of the vertices are attached to. I'm gonna explain in a sec. And gun trigger, of course, it's our trigger. So the skinning is super simple here. Just 3 bones. And let's just straight copy it, alright? So for real, we can just take our scar model, rename it to WAR scar, right? To keep things GTA format. Now you just drag and drop it into gun root. And let's delete our, actually let's not delete it now. Let's grab our material, it's very important, from vanilla model. And now let's delete the vanilla model itself. It has 4 materials, as the main material is 1, remember that? So okay, let's now delete it. And now we have our scar. Also, it's not too late to edit our gun again. I think this is like too long for GTA, so let's just move it a bit, right? Our barrel. That's better. Maybe even a bit more. It's up to you, right? So, initial bone editing is go to your skin modifier. Oh, also make sure to apply X form after we scaled everything 10 fucking times. Now go to skin modifier. Go to add, and first thing you're gonna add is gun root. So now if you go to edit envelope, which is bone, so quick skinny tutorial is red means every vertex is attached to that bone. So if we touch gun root, now it moves with that bone. So it's basically when your gun falls from your hands, it has to touch the ground collision. That's why we do it, right? Because each vertex has to have some attachment. But now we specify it. We add a trigger. Oh, it's actually right here. Gun trigger. So now you may think, I have to select every vertex to add it to this bone, right? We have our gun trigger selected. And now we have to add a weight of those vertices into the bone. How do we do that? We go to a weight tool here to edit our weight. We go to select element. We select this. Actually select everything, Control A, and make 0. Now select this and make it 1 to gun trigger. So with elements, it only selects what's needed. Now hit Control I to deselect. Select everything that's not selected and make it gun root. Oh. Oops, I'm back. Sorry. Now you make it 1 to everything else. So now everything except our trigger is connected to gun root. So if we move our trigger now, it moves exactly with our trigger without literally anything selected. It's very important to do all of this without triangulation. So we have polys, not triangles right now. If you export it right now through games, your selections through skinning modifier, select element is going to be fucked. So it's very important to do correct skinning at this exact stage. This is why you have to be very careful with it. Again, another, literally the last bone we're going to add is gun bridge. Edit. We have a weight tool. Select element, vertices, select this. It's only from one side here. And you make it 1 with selecting your gun breech bone. So now if we move our gun breech, guess what? It moves. So when you're gonna be shooting, it will move with your bullets and with your trigger. It's very important to have this animated, or it will be very dull. And guess what, guys? This is the end of weapon skinning. In my Addon pet tutorial, I was skinning for 3 hours on cam. And obviously a lot more off cam. I was recording in 2 days, but here 5 minutes we're done with weapon skinning, and it's always going to be as simple as that. Now, after we're done with skinning, let's work with our components. So our mag actually has to be separate model. So let's detach it like so. So this is how your weapon should be, and this is how your mag should be, a separate model. Now you go into OpenIV and just search for like mag. Oh, mag 1. It's gonna be better. Yeah, and just go to some rifle, like bullpup rifle, mag 1. Up. Not a good one actually. Maybe special rifle. Assault rifle, advanced rifle. Yep, this is alright. So literally anything. You export it, you import it. And now you just try and match it. So let's rename it to WAR Scar Mega 1. It's our model's name. By the way, let's rename this as well, WAR Scar. And now let me isolate this. This model here, our mag, also has a skinning, and it only has one bone attached, so we can just remove the old one, add our own one there. Actually, it goes into clip. Remove our old clip, but before that, we're gonna have to match the position here, and also make sure to match the height and match the pivot point here. So you effect pivot point, Alt A, and you click on the model, pivot point to pivot point, and the pivot point is now in the same position. Now you're safe to delete the old model. Finally, we only imported it to preserve the bone setup, and this is a collision here. This collision will do, it doesn't matter actually. Also, let's rename this. Hide it, and now very basic mag skinning is you just go to skin, edit envelopes, add bones, and you just add clip, and it already has 100% attachment here. You're literally not even touching it. Now just create object, models, game mesh, and it's done. You do the same for our scar. Oh, by the way, we can, well, collision is quite close, but you can always, you know, edit it one way or another. For example, this has to be lower and maybe just a bit longer. So make sure to edit your collisions as well. It's mostly for walls or if you're getting shot, right? Oh, this has to be lowered. So one very important thing is this tutorial is very practical. You're actually, I want to show you every single issue you're gonna be having. So here you have your gun muzzle. So in order for your muzzle to be shooting from where your barrel is, you're gonna have to grab this bone, lower it on Z coordinate until this is fine, and you limit that bone, you lock it on for movement, and you untick the Z coordinate because we moved it on Z coordinate. Now your flash is actually gonna be shooting from here. Alright, this is very important and not everyone knows this, but this is gonna be far better now, instead of us initially trying to match everything from scale to trigger to back here to muzzle. Now you can just move the little bone here and it's gonna be working fine. Now the last part of our work here is just texturing. You remember us taking material from default weapon, heavy rifle. Okay, now you just assign that material to our selection by clicking this. And now you go to editable mesh and make sure everything is ID1. Control A, set ID1. Now let's go back to our textures. So I have my textures right here. And let's just rename them to WAR Scar Diffuse. This is our albedo color map. Purple is obviously our normal map. This is we're gonna call normal. And our roughness in this case we're gonna call specular map. Those are all PNGs. We can convert them through DDS right now or through OpenIV. Doesn't matter. GTA uses special DDS format. Now go to Material Editor, select your scar, go to ID1. You have this special weapon shader here. Don't pay close attention to it. You just go to your bump texture and select your... Oops. Select your textures for your bump. It's normal. Don't embed anything. For your detail map, leave it be. Your diffuse extra, just make it your diffuse. And your diffuse, just obviously make it your diffuse / albedo. Spec map is our specular. And don't touch any of this. You can just clear this. Now this is intensity settings, bumpiness settings. You can play with those, right? This is intensity is the strength of specular map, bumpiness is the strength of bump map, normal map, fall off, Renal. You can read all of those in the internet. They do pretty self-explanatory things. And now let's do the same for our mag. I remind you we have two models here. For mag, let's just really assign DIMS material. I'm just trying to show you guys that you can be flexible with this. And for this, we're going to be using normal bump, normal spec. Alright, not weapon shader. Now let's select just for, they're all using the same textures, right? Bump, diffuse, and our spec. Now let's export it. Let's export everything. Make sure to save your scene. Control S. I saved it as scar.max, and let's export it to folder called, I don't know, export. Very simple. Select folder and just hit export, and let's continue from there. After we have things exported, let's go back to our OpenIV and go to your mods folder. Then go to your export folder and just drag and drop those here. We can see things working fine, right? Our model here, our mag, they're all separate, but our mag is fucked for some reason. We're gonna fix it in a sec. So let's create, you saw they didn't have textures, so let's create texture dictionary called the same, WR scar, it's your model name, YTD, so you edit it, you go back to your textures folder, and just drag and drop those here, just use automatically, and if you don't have any transparency here, you just keep everything DXT1. Those are 4K, I don't recommend keeping anything 4K, just scale them down, but they're DXT1, certainly we should make them DXT, they were DXT5, certainly we should make all of them DXT1 here. This is your texture compression format, and unless you have transparency, like in your scope, for example, you should keep everything DXT1. Unless you have transparency, you make it DXT5. Now let's look at our, also remember to descale it for at least like 1K textures. So now we save it. And now if we open our model, so you see this like a lot. So now we open our model and we have our textures assigned here. Alright, now let's create meta files to import it into FiveM correctly. And for that we're going to be using our weapon toolkit, super useful thing. Previously we had to make it all manually, but now with this awesome software, thanks to Rapster, link is going to be in the description, you just download the zip and drag and drop onto your desktop. And let me show you guys how to easily create a template for any single weapon you want to make add-on in GTA 5 FiveM. So, you open up your weapons toolkit. This is a software that allows you to very easily, in a matter of a few clicks, configure and create a streamable resource to your FiveM server as an add-on weapon with components. So, first things first, let's select the templates. It doesn't have every template, so in our case, when I was making machete katana tutorials, there wasn't a machete here, so I had to create my own template. There's also no heavy rifle here, so we're just gonna use advanced rifle as our template. It doesn't matter that much. We can change it manually, but this creates a... Previously you had to do all of this manually, literally file by file. Now it's a matter of few buttons. I'm gonna show you in a sec, guys. So now let's browse our files for the software. So inside my weapon toolkit, I created a folder called one or import, it doesn't matter. And you just import all the files inside here. Yeah, now you just go to browse, go to this destination and select. Now it kind of knows where to grab the files from. Now your weapon name and weapon model are gonna be the same. Now it sees them. Now your weapon ID is under which name it's gonna spawn in game. So let's keep it GTA format, weapon scar. Now hit next. Configuration, this is damage, weapon range, all self-explanatory. So it took it from advanced rifle, same as audio item. Let's change the audio item to carbine rifle or assault rifle rather, which has more loud sound. So let's make our fire rate a bit slower, but bigger damage than advanced rifle, lower range, you know, things like that. Headshot damage is gonna be bigger. You see, quite easy. Reload speed, how fast is gonna be reloading? Let's make it 09. And now go to components, and now we basically right now you just want to select any clip. It's gonna be custom, just click any, but component name, make it your mag component, and it can be anything, silencer, scope, whatever, but in our case it's mag. Model name is this. Now clip size, how many bullets in the clip? Let's make it 28. Default ammo is like incendiary, FMJ, shit like that, tracer. Now you make it component enabled and add component. Now you go to export. Let's create a folder, back here, export, select it, browse, export, select export. And now once it's done, let me quickly, very quickly. So this is actually a already streamable resource. So this is streaming to FiveM part, 15 seconds. I created a folder called weapons, and you just drag and drop that here, right? Then you copy that name, go to your server.cfg, and just ensure WER scar. Now you open that up, and very quickly, it's already streamable on FiveM, it works on FiveM. Now, very quickly, I'm gonna show you how to slightly tune it if you wish, and how to enable your components correctly. Right, so you open your scar, you go to meta. Inside here you have weapon archetypes. You can open that up. So right here you can make sure that you're using the same TXD for your scar that you use for your mag, because notice we didn't create a separate YTD for our mag. We just have the scar one. Why? Because we're using the same texture. But because we don't want to create a separate YTD for mag, since it uses the same texture, this archetype is the same as in MLOs, you know, archetype def YTYP is just weapon archetypes, literally. So this is the info of your model. So you just, under TXD name, you make it the same for your mag that you have for your model. And now they share the same texture dictionary, and you don't have to create a separate one with the same textures, create additional one, 3 additional textures to stream on the server. Just don't need to do it. Animations, personality, just don't touch that, it's tuned fine. Now inside your components, this is where we're gonna enable our mag. Rename the folder to mag, to your custom name. Then inside here, open it with Notepad++ or just Notepad, and name, change it to your model name. Now it has other settings here, they all self-explanatory, but this is, for example, where we changed our ammo clip size to 28, so you manually can edit that as well. So you guys see, tool makes it very easy. You don't have to do it all manually. Now, for example, if you want to oops, that doesn't have to be here. So it's my record button, and I pressed it twice. So how do we change that? It should be weapon scar, right? Why do we have this? So I select this, Control F, replace this with this, right? Replace all. So quick fix if you encounter the same issue. So it should be weapon scar, WAI scar. Weapon scar is under which name it's going to be spawned. And quick recap on damage, for example. So you can open your RPF Explorer, property text effects, and go to like any weapons.meta, and you open this and you search for like carbine, right, or assault. Assault SMG, whatever really, and until you hit something like this weapon info, and then you search for damage. The clip size is 30. So if you want to compare your damage versus, for example, Assault SMG, Assault SMG has 23 force, how hard it hits the surface, for example, pad, cars, flying vehicles. So for the railgun, it's bigger than for a firearm, right? For the handgun. So for example, it's 23 for SMG. Obviously, I want to make it bigger for my SCAR, and for my SCAR it's already 39. Yeah, we can make it 41. Headshot distance. They're all self-explanatory. I'm not gonna be stopping on them. What I'm gonna show you here is you can change your flash effects, your muzzle, your smoke here if you wish. But what I actually want to show you is how to enable your components. So here we have attach points from here to here. This is where you enable and disable literally any component in the game you want that to be attached to your weapon. So by default, because we used our carbine rifle as a template, it enabled its clip, advanced rifles clip, its flash, its scope, and its suppressor. It's attached. The keyword is attached to our model, but not enabled. So, for example, we don't need the scope. What do? We just select this from item to item, opening item and closing item, and remove the scope. We don't need it. Though vanilla flash, why would we not want to have vanilla flash, right? I'll leave it be. Vanilla suppressor, since I don't have my own one, I will leave vanilla suppressor be from AR, carbine rifle, why not? Now we have two clips here from ARs. We certainly do not need them because they will not feed our model. Alright? So we remove them as well. So we have two vanilla components left, and we have this component, carbine rifle mag, but we have our own mag, and we just make its name here. So everything that's true is going to be spawned on your model in your hands by default. So if you want your model to be spawned by default with a suppressor, you make it true. For now we'll make it false, so I show you guys how it works in game with only our mag. So we save it, we close it, and now it's done. We work with all the meta files. I hope, guys, it was very understandable. Now literally the last thing we do before going into game is quick talk on optimization and weapon LODs. And also, it's not just optimization, it just wouldn't work otherwise unless you watch this like 2 minutes of my quick and I hope easy explanation. So if you remember, at the beginning we had two versions of the model, underscore high and this. So if you watch, we have different file size here. If you open our base YDR, we have 5K polygons. If you open our high YDR, which stands for high poly, it has 12K polygons. So we also have to make it so. So we go to our stream, and ideally we had to create LODs. So this our 30K polygons model, we would have had to make it high. Alright? And then go back to max and, for example, make an LOD I'm gonna show you how to do it very quickly. For example, you go to Pro Optimize modifier, Pro Optimizer, make sure it's keep textures, calculate, and then let's make it like 50% or like 60% of current vertex count, and now it's just 20k polygons instead of 30k. And now you would have exported it under this name, like this, and your high would have been higher polygons. But we have to do the same for YTD. The YTD, you have to rename it like so. And it wouldn't work otherwise, guys, that's why I'm showing it to you. Plus high would have been, would be our 4K textures. But let's say I take my 4K textures, I resize it to 2K instead. Now it's 2K. The file size is gonna drop drastically from 17K to 13K. And now I drag it here. So you guys see the difference now? Those are all the files. Our high definition plus high for YTD is 17K, 4K, and our low, our high is 3 4K textures, and our lower is the 2K, 4K, 4K. Okay, so this is weapon LODs, weapon optimization that's needed, and it's not gonna work otherwise. There is not. You don't have to do the same for mag, right? So that's it. Now, if you remember, our mag got fucked for some reason on export. Sometimes that happens. So how I fix that? It got super small for some reason. I removed the modifiers, go Xform, collapse 2, then I add game mesh modifier, then I export it once more. Let's get a folder. I export it once more. Just very quickly how to fix your fucked mag. Sometimes that happens, I don't know why. So now if I import it back, it should be the same. Yeah, it's the same. But if we import our previous mag, it was like this. Super small, broken, and fucked. Can't even see it. So sometimes it does that. I've encountered it several times. So this was the fix. You re-import it. Then you Xform it again after import. Where are we? Yeah, you Xform it again on your after you import it, then you skin modifier it again. You add AAP clip again to it. And then you add game mesh to it again. Now you export it one last time. Create a folder called fixed, let's say. Export it now. Oh, which is the one. Let me freeze this one. Let me freeze the one we don't need. Now export again. So after I froze it, I only have the correct mag here. Make sure it's game mesh mag. Now you export it. And if we import it back, it should be working fine. Yeah, you see it's fixed now. So it's correct size now, and if I drag and drop it here from my fixed, it's now correct size and it's using correct textures. So that was the fix, guys. It's weird, I know, but it's good we encountered issue like that, even though it makes my video even longer. But if you encounter that issue further on, you already know how to fix it. And let's finally dive into the game and watch how our weapon looks. Okay, so once we're in the game, I'm going to be using LAMP. The menu link is going to be in the description. F1, weapons, weapon options, spawn weapon by name. We called it weapons car. Here it is. It's working. You can see it has 28 bullets in the top right, like we asked it to. Here it is first person. Let's try aiming, it's very important. I didn't line up it super precise, you can always do it in max. One thing you can notice if you fly like very closely, that our mag is a little off here. You can see it here. So what you have to do is actually go in max and move it into the direction it needs. So in our case, it needs to go further. See this division here. So we have to detach our skin modifier. Or actually what you could do is just go to editable mesh, select all the vertices, Control A, and move it to here, like so, somewhere there, right? It's gonna probably have to take us 2 attempts, but I'm only gonna try it once. And another thing I want you to try and do, guys, is to add a silencer. So in order to do that, we go to our metadata, and so it spawned with our custom mag by default, but let it spawn with a suppressor by default, with vanilla suppressor. As I promised you guys, we're gonna have a tutorial on vanilla attachments and Addon attachments. So let's close the game. Now let me re-export it, and we'll see in game how it changed the position and that we now have a silencer. Let's try it one more time. Now weapons, spawn weapon by name, and now notice that we're gonna have silencer by default. You see it there? It's vanilla silencer, and now it shoots with silent sound. Hell yeah. Now let's see if our mag is at the place. It should be closer now. It's actually much better, but we still need to move it just, or we can leave it at that actually. In real life it's not super close, you still have to drag it out, right? So our silencer is not perfect as well, so you see here that we have to move the silencer as well, but if you want to move the silencer, you will move it for every single basic vanilla weapon in game. So instead of moving silencer in max, what you have to do is go back in max. Let's delete our mag, we're done with it. Let's go back here and we select our suppressor bone. So it's attached to, I remind you, WAP sub bone, which is this. So it's too close here. So what you have to do is, so if we look at game, we have to make it a bit more down and a bit more to the right. And we leave it, now limit those movement, locks bones. Again, it's slightly approximate. Now let me export and show you in game in a sec that it worked. Now guys, I also enabled the flashlight just to show you in game that it will work. So now it will spawn with flashlight by default as well. Weapon scar. We see our flashlight. It's of course fucked because we didn't fix it yet. But if you press E, it's gonna work, you see? So our silencer is definitely better now. Feels definitely better now. So as I told you, it will work. We can look a bit closer, and yep, it's actually much better now. We can move it right or left or whatever. But basically, yeah, here it is. It now works, and this is the end of my tutorial. I hope you guys really loved what you saw here. It was, I'm finally back. I hope it's exciting to anyone, to someone. Please catch me on Twitch this November. I'm gonna be streaming quite a few times with cool content as far as I see it. And please join my Discord channel where you can hire people for work, or make your public releases, or add your previews of your weapons. Please let me look which weapons you've created, and this tutorial was helpful, and I'm gonna see you highly likely in the Blender tutorial. Have a good one, guys.